Hello, welcome to this series. This is part two of our presentation on facilitating learning in flexible learning environments. This is a series, and this is series number two of these presentations. We are focusing on flexible learning in higher education institutions. Many of you are in higher education, and I'm sure that you have started applying some principles in flexible learning. But in our discussion in this series, we'll take a look at how the institution can strategically situate flexible learning in its total environment of the institution. As a review of session one, okay, we discussed that flexible learning is not a pedagogy only. It's not just a tool, a model for teaching and learning, but we understood clearly that flexible learning education or flexible learning is more than just um, method of teaching. We are considering the 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 effect, the outcome, which is um, learner empowerment. We are preparing future ready students, and that's why we are flexible in the teaching learning process, because we want to ensure that our learners are empowered, our learners, our students, our graduates are future ready. They are crossing boundaries. That means they are develop to be evangelists, and the open multiple perspectives, or develop multiple perspectives for excellent service. If that is flexible learning, not just a pedagogy, not just a tool, but beyond that, it is total transformation of the learner. That's the goal. Then the outcome is, as we said before, everyone participating, everyone involved in the flexible learning environment will consider that education is a gift of God, and everyone will be ready for life and for heaven. So that is our perspective when we talk about flexible learning. Another view, another emphasis that I should when I think about flexible learning, I have expanded a bit. I am entertaining the idea that flexible learn, as we said, it's not just an approach in teaching and learning. It is holistic learner transformation. That's the outcome. And then we are saying that flexible learning is a commission. It's in the Bible. It's situated clearly in the scriptures. And this is Bible-based approach to developing minds, developing lives of our students. If these are the foundations, if these are our perspectives, we see flexible learning as a teaching approach, not only a teaching approach, but we are considering the learner, okay, the outcome of that. From that perspective, we are also considering the outcome, what will become of our learners. And we are also considering it from the light that this is a commission from God. This is um, uh, a Bible based approach. And I'm sure our organizational development, our institutional development will be truly cradled by these principles. I would like to explore that some more. This is the last part, the commission side. So let's take a look at flexible learning as probably that which can be situated, which can be anchored on the Great Gospel Commission. Right. Why flexible learning? We said that we value education as a gift from God, the Father of light. James 1:7. And this is a divine imperative to teach all nations. This is part. If you say you are flexible with time, you expand, you flex one thing, and this, the areas, the categories that we discussed before, and we say, why so? Because we want to ensure that students, the key word here is that learners will have better access to information, better access to learning processes if we can find our teaching learning experience in the traditional classroom where it is very rigid and controlled. It's not flexible in those categories of flexibility we discussed the last session. We will probably limit the access of students to teaching and learning. So then we are saying that this, as we said earlier, divine imperative. Flexible learning. Why flexible learning? Open access. Open access. We open access to quality learning, to materials, to content, to teaching learning processes beneficial to the learners, to the advantage of the learners, to the advantage of the students. Inclusive. So then we are saying that if we do flexible learning, if we apply the principles of flexible learning, then we can probably establish inclusive Adventist Christian education. If not Adventist education, inclusive Christian education. Take a look at Mark 15:38 and 39. This is I this morning was I while I was reading my Bible, while I was opening the scriptures, I'm already in my Bible reading in Mark chapter 15. And this is about the crucifixion of Jesus Christ. I was so inspired when I read this text this morning. Matthew 15:37-38, and Jesus cried with a loud voice and gave up the ghost. And the veil of the temple was rent in twain from top to bottom. Look at that. And the veil of the temple was rent in twain. Rent in twain. Wow. Then I said, that's the idea of open access. That's where we situate. This is flexibility. God, through Jesus Christ on the cross when he died, opened salvation to both the Gentiles and the Jews. See, everyone can enjoy access to salvation. Isn't that inclusive education? We learn about God, we learn about the principles of salvation because the veil of the temple was rent open. So I would like to propose that flexible learning is anchored on crucifixion, on that crucifixion. Let's explore some more. Why flexible learning? Open access. Inclusive Adventist education. Look at what Ellen White says. Letter 230, 1907. The veil is rent, the partition walls broken. By virtue of his blood, the enmity is abolished. Through faith in Christ Jesus, Jew and Gentiles may partake of the living bread. Jew and Gentiles may partake of the living bread. Haven't you noticed that when you open the doors of your classroom to everyone, when you provide more access to materials, learning, activities in various modes, in various technologies, you are inviting more to access education, to access learning, to access concepts. What if we will ensure that the content that we are providing, the teaching and learning process, includes the concept of salvation? That is open access. And we can be flexible instead of the rigidity of prescribed curriculum. We can extend, we can open, and then everyone will have access. So FL, FL, flexible learning is anchored on his crucifixion. Why flexible learning? I always say more access to true Education, and true education is redemptive. According to Ellen White, Education, page 13, more than a perusal of one course of study. And that is what we are emphasizing in higher education, particularly in Adventist higher education. During the pandemic, haven't you noticed that immediately we were very flexible? We were confined in the four corners of our classrooms, but during the pandemic, we used various technologies to ensure that education, learning, teaching can be accessed by students. And when you open that, when you are flexible, and when some policies, with some procedures in teaching and learning were opened, okay, loosened a bit, there is flexible learning. We open flexible learning environments. And there is access, continuous, despite limitations during the pandemic because of social distancing and others, lockdowns. You had online learning. Now you see, you have online learning. Everyone, wherever they are, because the technology, the mode is changed. Then they have access, live streaming. I saw Adventist University. I always admired during the pandemic, during the beginning. They opened the church, virtual church. Everyone still are. Everyone is still learning. Everyone is accessing the gospel. Part of learning in Adventist schools, open online Bible studies, chat rooms were open. Students can access the teacher, can ask questions. Teacher can provide support. Teacher can provide technical support, assistance, guidance, telephone calls, open lines of communication. And then schools have established LMS, CMS, those who can afford, they their classrooms, open their classrooms, even if they are closed physically, but the classrooms are open still to the public, to everyone who can enroll. And we are inviting as many to join, to be part, to enroll in this system because we can access education. And if students are accessing true education, then this is really fulfillment of the commission that the Lord has given us. And what is Christ's method? What's Christ's method? Why are we doing this? Oh, just to comply with the requirements, just to comply with what the government says that we can online learning now. No, we are opening these doors for learning because we want to reach as many. We want to reach as many so that we can share the kind of education, the unique, distinct, true education that we are actually sharing to the public. Christ's method alone, will give true success. And this is always, we repeat this. Christ method alone. True success in reaching the people, the true success in reaching the students. We mingled with men and desired their good. We are conscious of the needs of our learners. They need this. That's why we open. We are flexible. We open flexible learning environments. The environment for teaching or learning is flexible because we are addressing desired needs, the needs of the learners. We are not. This is not a machinery. This is not an industry where there's a pattern and then everyone goes to the same mold. No, every learner has his or her needs, and we address those needs. We mingle with. We can't mingle face to face, maybe limited, but we can still mingle through online, blended. We go to LMS and course management systems. We can still mingle with them in a virtual environment, still ministering to the needs of our learners, and that we can win their confidence. There are three powers that will also be accompanying this true success, this method: the power of persuasion, the power of prayer, and the power of the love of God. See, when we are open, when we establish flexible learning environments, we are showing the power of the love of God. We are reaching to as many students. We are addressing specific needs. And learners will say, wow, this is education, which is a gift from God. We can say at the cross, with those perspectives, with those thoughts, with those principles that we have discovered, we are saying that I would like to believe, I am very certain about this, that at the cross, Jesus was thinking of flexible learning. This is an access. This is a pathway to his blood. This is a pathway to salvation for all of us, for all students, undergraduate, higher education, undergraduate, master's, doctorate, all of us. When we apply this, we open the lines. You open the lines, many avenues of learning, online, blended. We go to Moodle, we go to Schoology, we go to Blackboard, whatever. Open within the capacity of the institution. The method of teaching, the design for teaching and learning adjusted to the needs of the learner, addressing specific needs. And this is access to true redemptive education. So, what can we do in higher education? What can we do with this background, with this foundation? What can we do? Let's approach this in an institutional level, systems approach. And we are borrowing from the principles of change. Okay, many of you are in educational administration, organizational development, and these principles are reviewed to all of us. All right, flexible learning, a critical strategy according to Maslin, a critical strategy for increased access. You see, increased access in higher education. There is a projection that by 2025 there will have increased enrollment in higher education. And with that, we have to increase access, and flexible learning is a critical strategy and organizational strategy. So, before we go to how we can restructure, how we can organize things in the organization in the system level, let's say face to face. Let's just review in face to face traditional. There are rows, there are desks, there are chairs. Here's a teacher facing the front, facing the learners in front, didactic. Okay, one direction, teacher is the source. They have passive learners listening to lectures, and the bell rings, finish. Teacher is standing single. Okay, inside the classroom there is standing single classroom also taking place. Teacher led, when we say traditional teacher led, the teacher remains in front of the classroom and students do individual tasks, less engagement with others. They just listen, passive. When they are allowed to talk to their neighbors or do some group work, then that's the time. Limited movement of the learner, right? Limited standing, limited moving around, very limited, and frequent input and addition to what students probably have read is from the teacher. All right, so we can say that's our environment when we are talking about face to face, okay. But in the flexible learning spaces, even in face to face. We have these structures. Many schools have changed the structure of their classrooms. They say, okay, this is already student centered. You can have group work activities. You can sit in one corner. The room is organized in such a way that there is flexibility in the movement of learners, of students. Okay, instructions are just provided at the beginning of the class, but the remainder of the class session, several activities. It's open, it's flexible to whatever uh, approaches that best fit to the learners, right? If there are further guidance needed by the teacher, the teacher can provide, addressing specific needs of the learners. In flexible learning spaces, everyone has the freedom to choose how to go about learning. The teacher provides the structure, the beginning, instructions, and then everyone just goes and learn according to how they would like to go about learning. The furniture in that learning space allows movement for individuals. The materials are inside the classroom. The resources, you have variety of resources that students can access inside the classroom. Inside the classroom. Why are we discussing this? Because in our traditional approach, we only have chairs. We only have a table inside the classroom and chairs. The remainder of the space inside the classroom is occupied by chairs. Students sit there, yes. But in flexible learning spaces inside the classroom, you have materials that students can just easily pick. And if they need this information, that information, you have a computer inside the classroom instead of going to the library. All right? You have a library, yes, but inside the classroom, you have ready materials available that can be used by students in specific lessons. You see, there is already variety, there's already flexibility as far as access, as far as content, as far as design of the learning process. So we are addressing this because in an institutional level, I'm sure you have to restructure your classrooms. We have to restructure library and access and furniture. You see that in an institutional level that requires some budget, of course, financial side. All right, flexible learning space. Imagine if this is your classroom. You have all this, and if we will change our institutions we are going to this direction, then we have to do some enhancement. We have to do some renovations, right? So this requires this requires some finance. So learning spaces. Imagine this is before you can by this alone you can say, wow, you can easily spot where flexible learning is taking place here. We have one person in front of the computer connected to the school. We have students inside the classroom grouping together. Yes, we do this. But here is one professor just going to the roles and then coaching students. That's kind of not really flexible, maybe. The arrangement of the class, but the three of these, I'm sure you will say that's flexible learning. So if we want to change the space, the physical environment, the learning environment of our classrooms face to face, if we will apply flexible learning, the key is, what's the purpose? Why are we restructuring this? Why are we changing this? What's the purpose of changing? So your classrooms will be designed based on the purpose of of learning. Um, Look at that. I think this is from San Diego State University. I saw this one and wow, this is Very, very nice classroom. Investment. See, professor there in front, students, and the professor is sharing something there, but they are not looking at the professor as the professor is in front of the class, but they're watching the professor on TV on the screen. Professor is just there somewhere. That's very nice. Then interaction. One person wants to just stay in one table, three persons there. See some adjustment, some flexibility. They go out there to learners also go to community, part of the flexibility. We have Zoom, probably we have online virtual classroom instead of just this traditional really manicured classroom. We have straight rows. That's probably traditional. You can see there are very nice boards, writing boards. Students can go, tables there. The environment is changed. That's flexible learning. That is when there's face to face. But if it's online, okay, we can also say blended. You have online and you have face to face. We'll discuss that in session 3. So, why are we projecting some of these? See, away from school but still accessing education, flexible learning spaces. We have the what are the behaviors in a learning setting? Less time working as whole class, that's flexible. More time in groups. In the traditional, more time with teacher, more time with the teacher, whole class individuals listening. Flexible learning, more collaboration, less in teacher led instruction. There's independent learning, there's presentation based work. Students will be required to present what they have found, what they have discovered, what they have learned, instead of just quizzing them, right? So in traditional, less or no collaboration at all among students, more teacher led. Flexible learning spaces, students are active, you see, they are engaged, they have their time with content, high on task behaviors. Students are really engaged, they're really engaged instead of just being passive and just in the corner, right? Flexible, more time, okay, less time. Peer interaction, as far as peer interaction is concerned, less time. In traditional, flexible, more time. Let's review types of engagement. More engaged. Learners are more engaged, meaning engaged with content. They process content with peers instead of just listening. So these are some pictures, as was said earlier. Okay, we can determine where is flexible learning, where flexible learning is. All right. See, the board is there. Didn't erase. The student can go inside and then he can, oh, here's the lesson is still there. I can still access this. And I'm sure many experienced this. The first time in history, virtual graduation. Oh, virtual graduation. Still accessing. Okay. I'm sure you saw this picture in Japan. Um, Graduation robots were represented. Okay, students. Now, so comprehensively, what is our comprehensive approach in higher education so that we can apply flexible learning? We will not only my my understanding is we will not only allow the teacher to innovate in the classroom. The innovation, the concept of flexibility should not start from the classroom, but should start from the institution. Okay? If the institution understands clearly that flexible education and flexible learning is a tool, a method of teaching. Not only that, but this is for total holistic transformation of the learner, and this is in the context of the commission. Access, more access to education. Then I'm sure we have to do some changes. Several aspects we will consider. Then we will end. Number one, part of innovation, part of change begins with a vision. Our vision, the vision of the institution should be restructured. We should operationalize it to fit to flexible education. There should be specific initiatives after the critical change, okay, in that vision of the institution. So let's revisit the vision of the institution. The vision statement of the institution, does it include does it include flexible education or flexible learning? If we can clearly define it there, then we should operationalize that vision into specific initiatives and actions, and then the strategic vision and the initiatives will cradle that flexible learning and flexible education concept. Of course, one experience of an institution is they organized an instructional design team in an educational institution like Adventist University of the Philippines and other universities. Um, they have they have teacher education. I'm sure people there are experts in the field of instructional design. One experience of another of an institution was, and this has been the experience, they organize an instructional design team, and this team addresses, okay, the addresses how they can translate flexible learning into the institution, and they provide guidance to those who are in leadership. They become the core team. They serve as experts in informing administration of how flexible learning should look like and how we should do this, because they have the expertise in teaching and learning. And they are instructional design suggests that here is a support for faculty, okay, that they can redesign high quality, for example, high quality online courses or blended learning. So the instructional design section should be addressed, and this can be done by those who have the expertise. There will be capacity building on andragogy. Those who have less knowledge and skills in instructional design must be involved, okay, must be participating in capacity building, and this should be driven by the institution, because this is very important. Then aspect number three, for the really desired change, we employ institutional expertise. If in addition to what we have as resources, human resources, if we have a core team that in the institution, within the institution, who can lead in helping teachers, training them how to design instruction within the flexible learning environment concept or flexible learning model, then in addition to that, we can employ consultants, guests, trainers for the staff. This is professional development. One of these, I think this is one, the CPD is one, no? Then we are building confidence among our teachers. So we are doing this from an institutional point of view. Everyone will be involved as much as possible. We are investing in people. We are training them. We are empowering our faculty members. Right? We are providing tools to our faculty members. And that is then institutional expertise. When everyone will be developed, we are we are achieving institutional expertise. All right. So we will review vision. We start with the vision, we restructure that, and then we organize. We will take a look at the instructional design, okay, the instructional design of the whole institution, and that can probably be led by a team assigned who can lead in how we design instruction for the whole institution to address, to establish flexible learning. And then we develop, okay, institutional expertise. And part of change, so that we can remove barriers to desired change, is policy and infrastructure. We have to adjust our policies. And I think everyone understands what I'm saying here. We have to address online teaching and learning policies. What are our policies associated to online teaching, online learning? If there's a need to restructure so that we can address flexibility, access of learners or students to quality education, the compensation structure, how do we compensate? All right? Credit hour policy, all right? How many units will this be? If you will be doing this and that because the methodology is changed, the structure is changed, how many units? The normal unit is free. What is the loading policy? How, how do we hire? Who will be hired? So that we have a pool of experts who are really into flexible learning. The promotion, the tenure. What about intellectual property rights? When I can develop a material for my students, how can the teacher benefit? Who will benefit? What is the sharing, etc.? The review process. How do we review of what teachers can develop? Okay, analytics. We have to have data. Okay, I think this is in. We can employ the research department or the quality assurance department. Analytics, we can say, do we have data? Do we have sufficient data? We have to ensure that all our decisions are based on data. We can probably say, is there increase in online teachers? How many teachers now go online? It's part of our what we look. We should look. That's part of. We should be giving attention to that. What is our enrollment projection when we open, right? When we provide flexible learning? What are the new courses launched? What is the current enrollment in online or blended? That if we have established already flexible learning. Okay? Data. The data for analytics, we should have data from both quant and qual. We have to ensure that we listen to the people. We should have sufficient data coming from stakeholders, all data associated to flexible learning. And these will be our basis for decision making. And this data we have, we can also share this one to our stakeholders. This will be our updating, the part of our communication to the stakeholders, so that we will have effective BT in getting buy-in and creating urgency that we need to transform this, transform that, change this, and change that, so that we can adjust to the needs of the learners. All right? Analytics. Quality assurance, that's one aspect. Okay? We have to ensure that what we deliver, flexible learning in flexible courses, quality assured. How do we do that? Through peer review. We should have a toolkit in evaluating, assessing the quality of the processes that we have established, processes associated with our flexible learning, implementation of the flexible learning. Peer review. What do we peer review? Right? So we employ the peer review process, content, requirements, the tasks, the assessments for online, hybrid, or face-to-face. We already have the quality assurance for face-to-face, yes, but when we apply flexible learning, all right, apply flexible learning, then we can seek the help of our peers, we can organize a peer review process so that we are assuring our stakeholders of quality. Strategic campaigns, when we have already established principles, the parameters, the structures, the environment of our flexible learning education or flexible education, then we can be strategic in our campaigns. We have to consider these strategic campaigns. Promotion can raise awareness that our college, our institution, our higher education institution is into flexible learning. Come, enroll, be part of this institution, be part of this higher institution because we have in the new normal, all right? We have hybrid, we have online, full online, we have modular approaches, then multimedia. You can have a short video. You know this for FL flexible learning initiatives, and this I'm sure requires investment. These initiatives require investment on our part, manpower. So we can have a website probably for such initiative. And if we can have these in our institution, people can access, people, stakeholders, prospective students will say, let's go to this institution. They have organized, they have structured, the institution has structured this strategically so that we can access quality education. Student access, right? So how will student access? Student prepared uh, enhance the students' preparedness for flexible learning modes, right? Video tutorials. You can have video tutorials. People can be assigned to do video tutorials so that everyone can be ready. Okay, ready before they will plunge themselves into flexible learning. Links of tutorials to your CMS, to your LMS, right? Technical support as part of student access. Okay, when they already have been trained, have been oriented how to go about flexible learning, then technical support, email system, telephone, live chat support. We have to remove barriers to access. That's very important, and increase the confidence of the learners that they can really participate, they can really survive, they can really access information, they can access quality learning. So we are supporting our students. Faculty development and recognition, very important. Development opportunities, okay? Open development opportunities. We don't just we, we don't staple growth of our faculty, right? So let's address this. Policies can be changed. New initiatives in this regard can be changed. Maybe we'll showcase those who demonstrate excellence in specific courses. Okay, hybrid. If you're hybrid excellence, you can probably say that teachers who are really successful in establishing, in implementing face-to-face, blended, hybrid, blended, or full online. We can have faculty development and providing them opportunities for growth. Okay, expansion of capacity. We expand the capacity of our faculty that they can really fully implement, apply, or integrate flexible learning. Okay, adapt the principles and the strategies. Recognition of faculty's contribution to faculty members' contribution to FL initiatives. Shared governance. In flexible learning, it's advised that faculty will be formed into advisory groups for key aspects of what we have mentioned. Aspect 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, or not 9. And then sections. These sections can be faculty advisory groups. They provide feedback, share best practices, etc., etc., and they will contribute. Their review will be shared to the team, instructional design team, probably, or the administration, so that their voice can be heard. And then those suggestions can be integrated into the system. So there is shared governance. And this is gaining trust and confidence from administration or from the faculty. You shared governance gains trust and confidence among the faculty members. And this is a very strong foundation for improvement. Here, if last one, shared understanding. We have to be transparent, accountability. So if everyone is informed, transparency, everyone shares the same idea, basic ideas, everyone will be accountable, everyone shares the same understanding, and we increase common understanding of our flexible learning initiative. So how do we do that? We can create a web area for flexible learning initiatives. We can be publishing a report in that website, and we will be presenting in that website work of various groups towards or along with these initiatives. So these are the 11 aspects that the institution can, as a whole, can take a look, assigning people there, and then shared governance. I'm sure this is quite difficult, but if we can all be collaborating together and we are one in our understanding of this initiative, because our purpose is towards more young people can access quality redemptive education, and then I think all of us will be successful. Let's summarize this presentation by saying that higher education institutions can be strategic, okay, in their approach. Some of those areas that we have mentioned in establishing flexible learning environments. And establishing, as you notice, flexible education requires a collaborative effort. Those who are experts in the area, in technology, and those who are experts in instructional design, in leadership, okay, collaborative effort is important there. Shared governance and shared understanding, all of these part of the establishment of flexible education. Why are we doing this? Because this is part of the commission. More access to the truth, more access to redemptive true education towards holistic transformation, holistic change in the lives of our students and graduates. They can be prepared for this world and for heaven. God bless. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you in session 3.